Well, welcome back to Holding Faith Through Delayed Promises podcast. And we're moving on to the next day. And by now, you've named the promises, you've acknowledged the weight of waiting, and you've begun loosening your grip on the timeline. And today, we just pause and we look inward. Because one of the most overlooked truths about waiting is this: you are not the same person that you were when you first believed. And that matters more than we often realize. When a promise is delayed, it's easy to focus on what hasn't changed: the outcome, the situation, and the unanswered question. But something has been changing all along, and that is you. And sometimes that change feels really uncomfortable, even threatening, because it forces us to revisit the promise itself. And we wonder, if I'm different now, does the promise still fit? And if I don't want it the same way, did I ever really want it? And if my desire has shifted, did I miss it or outgrow it? These questions can feel really unsettling. But growth doesn't mean that you were wrong then. It means you lived, learned, and adapted. Waiting has a way of refining us quietly. It deepens discernment, it strips away fantasy, and it teaches us that what actually sustains us. Often, the earlier versions of us wanted the promise for reasons we couldn't really articulate. Validation, safety, identity, and belonging. And those needs were real. But as we grow, we begin to recognize them more clearly. And sometimes the promise remains the same, but the reason we want it changes. So sometimes the shape of a promise shifts, but because it failed, not because it failed, but because we matured. That's not loss, that's formation. Not every unfulfilled promise stays static. Some evolve and they expand and they soften and take on a new dimension. And this can be confusing because we assume fulfillment should look exactly like what we imagined at the beginning. But growth often requires interpretation. That once felt urgent may now feel sacred. That once felt essential may now feel optional. And what once felt external may now feel internal. So examining what has changed doesn't mean that we're giving up. It means we're asking, what does this promise look like in the hands of who I am now? There can be shame around changing, so we tell ourselves, I should still want this same way. I shouldn't feel differently, and something must be wrong with me. But change is not betrayal. It's evidence that waiting hasn't been wasted. You didn't lose your way, you gained perspective. And honouring that growth allows promise, and whatever form it takes, it to be healthier, truer, and more aligned with who you have become. So here's today's reflection question. Who was I when I first believed this promise? And who am I now? As you reflect, resist the urge to judge either version of yourself. Both were necessary and both deserve compassion. So today's practice is a simple comparison. Create two lists, then me and now me. Under each, write a few words or phrases, what you valued, what you feared, what you needed, what you hoped for, and notice the differences without trying to fix them. This isn't about choosing one version over the other. It's about understanding the journey between them. Waiting changes people. And the fact that you've changed doesn't disqualify the promise. It may actually be preparing you for it. Tomorrow, we'll talk about guarding against bitterness, how disappointment hardens us quietly, and how to stay soft without becoming naive. For now, hold this gently. You are allowed to grow. You are allowed to evolve, and the promise, whatever it becomes, can meet you where you are now.